Hello and welcome to Castar Reviews. I'm Adam Castar, and our Halo retrospective is taking us in a different direction. While Halo 3 ODST is still a first-person shooter, the way it's designed, as well as the person under the helmet, is different than anything you've ever played before in Halo. For those that don't know, ODST is an acronym that stands for Orbital Drop Shock Trooper, which for all intents and purposes are not super soldier brick shithouses like Master Chief. This game was not meant to be anything special per se. Bungie planned ODST to be a side project to hold people over until Halo Reach. I feel like a game like this would not work today, attributing to the critical failures of Aliens Colonial Marines and Metroid Prime Federation Force. But ODST, however, was a critical and commercial success, even without Master Chief, Cortana, or the Arbiter. It also assembled an all-star voice cast that will end up making appearances in Bungie's next IP like Nathan Fillion and Nolan North. Every Halo game from now on is no longer subject to the age test, because Halo 3 ODST is only 10 years old. Even though Master Chief isn't in the game, ODST was released for the Master Chief Collection as DLC. Also, if you still have your Xbox 360 disc, then you can play it on the Xbox One via backwards compatibility. So let's see if ODST is able to make a great game out of a slight change in formula, but first let's start with the story. Halo 3 ODST takes place in between Halos 2 and 3, and begins on a space station with a squad of ODSTs preparing to drop onto the Prophet of Rut's cruiser, which is above New Mombasa. The team's main members consist of Dutch, the resident ballbuster, Romeo, the team's marksman, Mickey, a pilot, Buck, the class clown, and Rookie, a mute whose helmet you'll be spending most of your time in. Your squad leader for this mission is Dare, who apparently has a romantic history with Buck. After Dare is introduced to the team, Romeo wakes up a sleeping Rookie by hitting him so hard with a rifle that the camera switches to first person. The team gets into their pods and are launched from the station. Mid-drop, Dare changes the mission to something she says is classified and tells everyone to switch to a different drop point. Most do, but then a slipspace portal opens up and all the important characters in this franchise go through it to Installation 5. Only kidding. The slipspace jump causes an EMP blast, which messes with the navigation of the pods and the squad loses contact with each other. You wake up as the Rookie 6 hours after the drop. You break open your pod and jump onto the streets of New Mombasa below. As you do so, the reality of your normal guy status hits as you take fall damage. To heal your wounds, you find a health pack, because you don't have regenerating health. You turn on your night vision, go download a map from the city's AI, the superintendent, and go look for clues of what happened to your squad. So this is where shit gets interesting, because in between main missions, New Mombasa is an open world that you can explore to find a bunch of secrets, which I'll go into in the gameplay section. When you find a clue, it takes you to a flashback of the events that led up to the item being there. In these flashbacks, you take control of a different ODST squad member, which is basically cosmetic. They don't have different abilities or anything. The first clue you find puts you in the shoes of Buck, right after the crash. He radios Dare, who says she's trapped in her pod. After a conversation laced with romantic tension, Buck heads out to find her.
I'm a little fuzzy on the details. Must have met a lot of other saps since then. Why pick me for the safari?
First, you're the best soldier I know, and second, I don't remember that night. What you asked me in the morning?
I remember not getting an answer.
Say again, Buck. You're breaking up.
I said stay put. I'm on my way.
Dare doesn't actually listen to Buck, and when he finds her pod, it's empty save for her helmet. Buck is then approached by a jellyfish-looking thing known as an engineer. It approaches Buck and then shot out of nowhere by a sniper rifle, causing it to explode into plasma grenades. The man behind the rifle ends up being Romeo, and the two link up. A few hours later, Dutch finds himself at the Uplift Wildlife Reserve and links up with some Marines to try and seize the landing zone of Rut's cruiser, which they do. Mickey meets up with Dutch after escorting retreating Marines to a rally point in a Scorpion, the entrance to ONI Alpha Site. ONI stands for the Office of Naval Intelligence. We're not talking about Japanese demons or Akuma's final form. Dutch and Mickey find each other and they both run into a New Mombasa police officer who needs an explosive expert. They agree to help him and they blow up the base with remote charges so the Covenant can't use it or its data. As they do so, they escape in a police Pelican. While in flight, Mickey and Dutch make contact with Buck and they decide to meet at the New Mombasa Police Department. But as Buck and Romeo go out to meet them, their Pelican is shot down. Buck and Romeo then fight their way to the Pelican's crash site to rescue them. They do rescue them, but the Covenant assaults their location, and during the fighting, Romeo is stabbed by a brute chieftain. After the Covenant forces at the crash site were dealt with, the four ODSTs go into a building to figure out what the next move is and heal Romeo with biofoam.
Wait here. We're gonna steal that ride.
Yeah, you heard that right. Buck just said they were going to steal a Phantom, and they actually do it, fighting through a fuckload of Covenant and escaping New Mombasa. As they're about to leave, Buck has a flashback and realizes that Dare is underground.
What could be more important than that carrier?
My orders. And Buck? Call me Captain.
Mickey, turn around. Find a safe place to set us down.
What? Why?
I lost something. Now I know where to find her.
Meanwhile, the rookie makes his way to the superintendent's data center and meets up with Dare. Dare then finally reveals that the mission was to obtain the superintendent's AI to investigate premonitions that there's something important under New Mombasa. The Covenant has infested the underground, with Rookie and Dare fighting through them to get to the server room with the superintendent. The AI is about to shut down, but then a being emerges from the server room, another engineer, and this one is apparently named Virgil. Dare explains that the engineers are alien supercomputers that hate the Covenant more than humans do. Virgil has assimilated the AI into himself, so he's now a tier 1 asset. After rescuing Virgil, Dare looks at the superintendent's security cameras and sees that Buck is calling out her name. She tells Buck where she is over an intercom and they meet up to try and get back to the Phantom he stole. They then make it to an elevator and go back up to the city level. Dare scolds Buck for leaving the mission he knew nothing about, and then kisses him for coming back for her. Buck and Dare realize how awkward their PDA is for the Rookie and Virgil. They congratulate the Rookie on a job well done, but reminds him that they still need to get out of the city. They take the highway, with Buck and the Rookie in a Warthog, and Dare with Virgil in an armored truck. While on the highway, they notice that a Covenant cruiser is ravaging New Mombasa to try and find what's beneath it. They then get off the highway to meet Mickey, Dutch, and Romeo for evac at the entrance to the Uplift Wildlife Reserve. After fighting off more Covenant, the stolen Phantom picks them up, and they leave just as the area they were in was bombarded by the Covenant cruiser. I love the epilogue so much that I'm just going to show you the entire thing. Enjoy.
Lord Hood may have given you clearance, but it was my op and it's my interrogation. We only captured one. It's very delicate.
Don't worry. I know what the aliens like. It has access to the Covenant BattleNet?
Limited, but yes. We're not entirely sure how it manages a remote connection to the... What?
Whoa, stand down, stand down!
Sergeant Major, please. It's extremely flammable.
The brutes. The bastards who put bombs on your buddies and kill millions of my people. They're digging a mighty big hole. You're gonna tell me exactly what they're looking for, and then you're gonna help me stop them.
While the epilogue may be great, the rest of ODST's narrative is pretty mediocre. I really don't agree with Dare's tactics. Even if the mission is classified, you should at least tell your squad what the mission is, since they're undertaking it. She has no right to get mad at Buck for leaving the mission, because she never actually told anybody what it was. Speaking of Dare and Buck, the romantic subtext doesn't really seem necessary. Buck should care about rescuing Dare anyway, since, you know, she's his commanding officer. He makes it seem like he only wants to rescue Dare so he can hit that, which is probably true. Remember the third wheel stare that the Rookie and Virgil gave our couple? That was my face too during that scene. I wasn't really connected to the two, because Dare only shows up at the beginning and at the end of the game. I mean, the story itself is fine, aside from Dare's decision making. I like the detective noir way that the game is structured. The narrative is cohesive, but a lot of the fluff around it is unnecessary. Even though ODST uses the same engine as Halo 3, let's see if it improves on the graphics of Halo 3. One thing you're going to notice right off the bat with Halo 3 ODST is how dark it is at times. Makes sense, most of what you do in the game takes place either at night or in a tunnel system. In my Combat Evolved review, I lamented how the limited battery life of the flashlight made dark areas of the game a pain to trek through. That problem has been fixed wholesale in ODST with the visor. The visor lights up everything around you and highlights enemies in red and points of interest in yellow. Also, it runs indefinitely until you turn it off, making visibility a non-issue. The graphics have been touched up a bit since Halo 3, but still looks basically the same, and the surprisingly A-list voice cast does the job exceptionally. The soundtrack itself feels a bit more subdued than the previous games, especially walking around at night, where there might not be any music. Sometimes I wouldn't even notice that the music cut out since it was mixed so low. During the day, the tracks are more bombastic, but there are only a few that I found memorable and they're on my Spotify playlist. The sound design is also basically the same as Halo 3, but they added silencers to the SMG and pistol, so I'm sure they had to go back to the Foley room for that one. With that, let's move on to the gameplay. Halo 3 ODST starts out with an open world setup. Your mission as the rookie is to look around New Mombasa for clues, but not to worry because you have a map now and there are waypoints set where you need to go. While I thought the level-to-level method was fine for the previous Halos, there's a story reason for the open setting, and you actually feel like someone looking for the missing members of your squad. If they tried to do the traditional Halo way, it wouldn't be as immersive or make any sense. Not everything made the jump from Halo 3, however. Dual wielding is gone, the battle rifle is gone, and the elites are conspicuously absent. This is about the time where the elites were betrayed by the Covenant, so it makes sense that they wouldn't be fighting you. Also, the pistol's invisible scope has returned, with it and the SMG both getting silencers. The SMG also has a scope, making it the de facto battle rifle replacement. Your shield generators are gone, and your health doesn't regenerate, which means health packs are a thing again, and guess what? The checkpoint thing from Combat Evolved is back. I don't understand this. If you die, your health should be replenished at the checkpoint. This game came out in 2009. Why hasn't this been fixed? The bullshit is not as egregious in ODST though, because honestly, this game feels a lot easier than its predecessors. Health packs are plentiful, and I can only think of a few instances where I was disadvantaged by the checkpoint system, but I still stand by my criticism. The only added enemy is the Engineer, which can give any Covenant enemy energy shields, even grunts. The other cool thing about the open world setup is that there are secrets in the world that you can unlock. Occasionally, the Superintendent will let you know that a supply cache is open, and you can go into a garage that has grenades, ammo for pistols, and SMGs, or a mongoose that makes travel a lot easier. There are also 30 audio logs that follow a girl named Sadie as she goes through the Covenant invasion of New Mombasa with Virgil. Oh, I see. Virgil. Divine comedy puns. I get it. This is a fun side activity, which isn't mandatory to beat the game, but I feel like the log should be marked on your map regardless. It doesn't make a ton of sense when every other point of interest is clearly labeled. The split screen is about the same as previously, and the multiplayer is the same as Halo 3's, save for 3 new maps that are included in the Master Chief Collection. The real draw for this game is Firefight. This mode sadly isn't playable in the Master Chief Collection yet, but I recorded this footage using the backwards compatible version. Firefight is a survival style game mode where you pick a map and fight off waves of Covenant until you run out of lives. The waves get progressively harder and skulls are turned on as more rounds go by. This is my favorite single player game mode in the entire Halo series. It's ridiculously fun, and you can play it with friends on or offline. I'm always trying to beat my high scores for levels, and the announcer makes the arcade action that much more fun. Halo 3 ODST is a fun side game, but I don't think it holds up to the high standards of Halo 2 and Halo 3. The story is mediocre with its forced romantic subplot, and the gameplay doesn't really do anything new. Forgive me if I'm showing my hand too early, but I think if you want to play a Halo game without Master Chief, I recommend Halo Reach way over Halo 3 ODST. Halo Reach also has Firefight, so this game is more or less obsolete. Play ODST for the novelty and nothing more. Do you agree or disagree? Let me know in the comments. This has been another episode of Castar Reviews. The next Halo game we'll be looking at is Halo Reach. Please like and subscribe for more videos, and I will see you next time.